What is up, good people? You're watching Brudsy Entertainment. I am joined with the lovely Kitty. How are you today?
Angry and medicated.
Angry and medicated. Wow. And as you can see, guys, we've got some other guests here. We've got the one and only Rebecca Goodwin, and we've got the host of the Reality Check podcast. And for anyone that's been on Cloud9, let's have a little look and see what happened last time these guys met.
You know what? I'm gonna get off now. You are the most disrespectful people I've ever met.
What? We was only joking.
No. Thank you. What
Only joking. They make the poor girl storm out.
shit now.
Are you being serious?
Yeah.
Hey, goodbye.
Okay, so Rebecca Goodwin wasn't very happy with the host of the Reality Check podcast. I know you've just watched it; it's quite fresh as well. What are your initial thoughts?
They were absolutely disgusting. Those three men literally bullied a woman that had literally just seconds before that told them that she had been raped as a 4-year-old child. And instead of going, are you okay? Would you like to continue with this conversation? Would you like to stop? Would you like to take a minute? They continued to go straight at her, and they went for the jugular. They went for her children. No.
Yeah, for me that bit was savage. I mean, as a podcast host, like, if you're gonna get guests to come on, and let's just be fair, the most of the guests come on are in the industry. They're in the industry, women, sort of. If you're gonna get them coming on, and they're gonna be telling you things, no matter what your agenda is, you have to be able to respond to what someone's just said. If someone says to you, I was raped at 4 years old, and then you proceed to just continue with your interrogation, like, if you go down that line of questioning, it's back. It's just wrong. Like, you're not doing your job right as a podcast host.
No.
Like, if someone tells you something like that, that's quite a traumatic thing for anyone to hear, and there's no sympathy.
Even as a human, never mind
Yeah.
as a podcaster, as a human.
Yep.
That woman literally opened up. They were talking about, I mean, you'll probably, if you watch it, you'll see what she was talking about.
Yeah, I've
She
seen
was
it.
talking about what she gives to society and how she is taking back her dignity. They kept saying, you've got no dignity, you've got no dignity. The woman runs charities for underprivileged women, with single parent women, to get affordable housing. She's got no dignity. She's doing it on her back, but she's doing it. And then to say to them, my dignity was taken away from me when I was 4. I had no choice, so I'm taking it. What she didn't articulate is, I'm taking it back from the men that took advantage of me and making them pay for what they took. That's what she didn't articulate. She couldn't get it out because she was traumatized. And then they went for the jugular. I do see where she'd got their back up.
Yeah, and that's the thing with these guys. And it's not just guys, but talking about them, they admire the women, the ultra successful women in this industry. They admire it. They're envious of it. They're jealous of it, and they always tend to try and make people feel bad. And what they actually done is they tried to, because she's successful, a successful person you can't say nothing to. So they tried to put it onto her. Oh, the unsuccessful ones, the ones that do £1,000 a month, sort of thing, to maybe try and sort of hit her while she's down, to try and get her like while she's down there, sort of like. But she's like, that's not my reality. I am a ultra successful creator, and you lot will treat me with respect. Basically, what she was saying. But
Yes.
they tried to do a horrible low blow and tried to attack. Like, they tried to attack the creators that aren't doing well, basically, or growing.
I will point this out as well.
Yeah.
They're saying she's got no dignity because of what she does. They're making money off what she does and what other people do. They're making money off it. They have a really successful podcast of women that do what she does. In my eyes, and what my dad would call them, they're sponsors. They're making money off women and then slagging them off for doing that job.
Yeah.
That's what they did. And sorry, I'm going to introduce you to the real Kitty because she's coming out. That was the most disgusting thing I have ever heard in my entire life, when they literally went on her children.
Yeah.
Her children.
Yeah.
Why don't you leave? Why don't you leave? You've got enough money.
Where did that even come from? That I was listening to the whole thing. That was like totally irrelevant to the conversation. It came from nowhere. Why don't you leave? Like, you know, she was talking about she was moaning about how much taxes she pays.
Yeah.
And she weren't really even moaning. She was gloating. She basically said, you know, look, I basically pay 10 nurses' wages. Like, you know, she was gloating about what she does,
Yeah.
and how much she contributes to society. And they're like, well, why? They tried to make it out like she was using it as a negative. She wasn't. She was just saying, I am actively helping society. I'm actively contributing to society and paying people's wages. And they just didn't like it. Their back was up. And, you know, about the children as well, you know, and these guys will always do it. They will always try and make women that do OnlyFans feel bad. They will try and make them feel bad by going after their children. What if your children find out? What if your children see it, sort of thing?
They went twice.
Yeah.
They went twice. The first time was when she admitted that she went into Karen's Diner, which, by the way, I think is absolutely disgusting. And I know Karen's Diner is famous for what it is, but that was disgusting. She walked in with 2 children and they announced she was a star.
Yeah,
that was disgusting, right? Secondly, they went for her then. They said, right, but you had to, and you're opening, and you would be happy if your daughter went into it. And they were looking down their nose, constantly looking down their nose at this woman, this successful woman, who is not only just successful, she has just announced that she wants to turn this housing project that she's got into a charity. She's not looking for a pat on the back. She's saying, I've seen interviews with her where she said she was sleeping underneath.
She was sleeping rough. She was
sleeping rough. She was at a low, and she never wants to see people like that. To me, that has to be admired. Yeah. I've said to you before this, I'm not her greatest fan because I don't know her and I don't know her personally, but to me, I admire the fact that she's doing what she's doing and she's giving back. There's the dignity. There it is. And if her daughter wants to do it when she gets to a certain age, that's nobody's business. That's between them.
And ultimately, as well, you know, we don't have a say on what people do. I mean, no matter what your children do in life, you can't grab them. You can't grab them by the neck and, you know, we live in the Western world, so to speak, and you know, people have choices. And then if an adult kid makes a decision what they're going to get into that industry, what can you do other than support them? Like, there's nothing. You cut them off, that will make things worse because they'll feel like they can't come to you. But I mean, it might not be the perfect scenario that people want for their children, but ultimately, kids are going to do whatever they're going to do, and you shouldn't be trying to use kids to make people feel guilty for their decisions. I don't think that's right.
Did you see the moment that they switched, though? Because I saw it. It was the moment she said that he was a paedophile.
Yeah, I think I've got a clip here. 1 second. You won't be. You'll have to read this.
The difference between a woman and a child is puberty.
I don't understand. If I like,
and if you are mad at every woman that has hair, you are mad at puberty.
No, I'm not.
Is.
Listen to me. If I preferred short women with no boobs, no bum, thin hips, and bald pussies, yeah, fair enough. But I'm not talking about that.
But that is the societal standard.
No, it's not.
It is. You've told me yourself. Bald pussies, no hair.
Yes, that's it. The only difference between a woman with a hairy pussy and a bald pussy.
Yeah. So on that clip, they were talking about, you know, preferences, and the guys were making it out like, you know, women should be shaven and blah blah blah, and she was obviously pointing out why is there so much demand for adult women to be shaved and be looking like children. You know, like children basically down there, sort of thing. I don't know what it is. You know, it's
a personal preference.
It's a personal preference, but you know.
If we want to get rude, nobody likes hair in their teeth.
No, that's awkward. Yes.
Yeah, right. Nobody wants the hair in the mouth. It's bad enough when you've got long hair.
Yeah, that is a genuine issue right there.
Yeah, right. That's probably number one with both men and women. Nobody wants a hair in the mouth because it's there all day, and yep. Right. Okay.
And also as well, not many people notice that when you engage in that activity, some people don't realize they can get a sore throat, And what happens is a tiny little hair gets stuck in the back of the throat, and you end up with this horrible. You just want to claw your freaking neck out,
Yes.
like And yes, people that
Yeah.
know what I'm talking about will know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, right. If you know, right?
Yeah.
Nobody wants that. I understand the preference. I have a preference. You probably have a preference, right? She went straight for the jugular. She went, well, obviously it means that you're a what's her name? Okay, there was his back went up. Instead of going, well, actually, it's just a preference for me.
Yeah.
And being a professional, his back went up. His back went up.
I think a lot of men have these desires, and they express them quite a lot on these podcasts about women being shaved and looking feminine. You know, this is just a new society norm where women are expected to be shaved down there. And then she said, obviously, you know, that you only see that in children, basically, you know, in young kids, sort of thing. And then they kind of flipped her argument. I got to be fair, because obviously they said that she's obviously bleached herself down here to make it look more. Obviously, she said smooth, or make it, you know. She said
younger and
to make it look more, full of life, basically, a bit lighter, basically. She talked about bleaching it and shaving it, and they flipped the argument on her, and they were like, well, you're catering to those men's desires, sort of thing, you know. But I think that just got thrown out. Like, it had nothing to. I don't think it's got anything to do with that. Like, you know, there are genuine logistical problems if there's too much hair downstairs, and I think everyone that's
from a woman's point of view, right? For me, it's more hygienic. It's easier to deal with. We have issues going off down there that we need to keep things clean, right? I would imagine most men like a clear playing field. That's fine. I don't look at it that way. I don't look at somebody that turns around and says, actually, can you do that? I don't go, are you a what's it? You know, are you a bit?
Yeah.
I don't look at it that way. What she was saying is, in society, it's bordering that because people are demanding it. Yeah. It's the demand, not the, do you mind? Or can we? It's the demand. It's that man or women demanding that you shave that off, or you wax that off, or, you know, I remember one guy saying once, you know, isn't it time for a wax?
Let me play devil's advocate over here.
Okay.
Women have these beauty standards. I don't think men create beauty standards. So I don't think, like, so, you know, famously, can't remember. Like, you know, there's the Brazilian Brazilian look where
the Hollywood,
where the women are in Brazil. It's called a Brazilian wax for a reason. That's how they have it. Everything is ka-ching, ka-ching, ka-ching.
Yeah, there's
like,
a strip. The Brazilian strip.
That's not necessarily men pushing that and brought this up, because I'm pretty sure back in the day this wasn't an issue, like, because women were always had hair down there.
The Brazilian,
yeah,
if you look at it, and I could be wrong
it's actually
here.
A strip, actually, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a strip.
Yeah,
it's called the Brazilian strip, and it's just above the opening, right? I think because of the Brazilian bikini, that's where that came in. So you literally had to have everything off, and because you couldn't have, because the Brazilian bikini is quite revealing.
Yeah.
So that's probably where that came from. Then the Hollywood came in, which is literally everything, and I'm talking from back to front, gone, nothing, right? I just think that's a preference with women. You've got to remember, and I'm gonna do that whole woman thing. Monthly, it gets messy, it gets horrible. You know, how much easier is it just to be able to give it a clean?
I don't know, but my question still is, even with with the big bum thing, like, you know, 30 years ago, it was all about having it was the skinny women, really petite women, and now it's all about big butts and stuff like that. And men aren't going around with big butts, like, you know, women are getting these big butts, and then other women are looking at other women and saying, I want that. So I'm wondering whether it's fair to blame men for having these requests, when it's women that are seeing other women like that and saying, I want to be like that woman, or I want that sort of style like a woman.
Right, this could be quite stereotypical here.
Okay, go for it.
Right. So as we have accepted more black people into the community, and the black music side has come along, we know black men love it. They love a good arse. They love it. Come on. I
do like something there, but I must say, I have to refer to this story that I tell all the time. I was in a nightclub once, and this lady, a short lady, and she was big everywhere. Let's just say.
Mm.
And she came up to me, and she was like, "What?" She slapped her bum. She's like, "What? You don't like all this?" And I was quite offended, to be honest with you, because I was like,
I'm not. I'm not talking BBW here.
Yeah.
I'm
This
talking.
weren't no BBW. This was BB everything, basically.
I'm talking the skinny waist.
Yes, of course.
Right.
Black men like a bit of cushion for the pushing. That's for
Right.
sure.
So we know. So as the music industry has changed, and there are more it's hip hop, R&B, the videos have changed. The women have come out. And do you know what? It's nice to embrace the curves. We've been told, like you say, in the 90s. I was a 90s girl. I was told I was too fat. I was too this. I was too. I was a size 10 back then. At one point, a size 10. Okay, I was taking all sorts of chemicals, but I was a size 10, and I was told I was too fat. Bearing in mind I'm 6 foot. Can you imagine how thin I was?
Yeah.
So we've been told for years and years, and all of a sudden we've embraced the curve. So the girls are loving it. Yeah. We're like, yes, we've got it. You're showing them on videos. It's all in the fashion. The fashion is changing. That more men as well, and white men are admitting, actually, I like the curve. We like the curve. We've seen it. Wow. Thanks for bringing it to our attention. We didn't know that was there.
Yeah. I'm just. That's just where I was kind of thinking, like, beauty standards are created by women. Yes, there might be a man that's in charge of the companies or whatever, but the beauty, women see other women on newspapers, see them on TV, and see them like that, and say, "I want to look like that." And it's got to the point where women have, I think, in my eyes, that women have obviously taken on this idea of being like smooth down there, whatever, and men has obviously just sort of become accustomed to it. Yeah. Where they just, you've got hair there now. Like, it's quite a shocking thing. Like, because, 20 years ago, you would have seen hair. Now, all of a sudden, women are shaving it all off, and then.
But fashion is changing.
Yeah, of course, but men don't.
Fashion is changing.
Men
you
don't
couldn't
do that,
go to a beach. You couldn't go to a beach with bits hanging out. The shape of pants and stuff is changing, and what you can wear, what's acceptable to go to the beach in. At one point, it used to be like a little, maybe a 2-piece. And it was quite, it was quite hid everything. So you could go with what I used to call like an afro down there. You could go, you could hide it. It was fine, right? Now they're getting smaller. Now you can have your bum out more or less, can't you?
Yeah,
it's a G-string.
People moan about bloody OnlyFans girls parading around. Like, you just go to the beach now, and everyone, you go swimming or something like that, and everyone is wearing these little revealing things. I'm just like,
they're topless.
Back in my day, Jesus, you wouldn't ever see this. Like, and I'm only 40.
I remember going to the south of France. I would have been about 11, so we was in Saint-Tropez. This is the south of France, Europe. Everybody was topless. Everybody was topless. It was the first time we'd seen it, and I was like, Mom, and she was like, just take your top off. My mum was a big advocate of like just whipping them out, and if you saw my mum's, there was a lot to whip out, right? So I've always been that sort of girl that's like
She looks very pretty in that picture that I got for her, and I think she'll be proud of that.
Yeah, she's a good-looking girl.
She's very pretty.
I think that red hair really suits her, by the way.
I know a lot of people have said as well, like, for me, I don't think, like, good and bad on both sides. Yes, it took a bad side from the guys, and their defensive went up, and they definitely dealt with that interview wrong. I don't think she needed to slam NHS workers though, because she kind of did slam them. She shouldn't. I don't think she should have done that. Like, like if you choose to get into the adult industry and you make a whole load of money, that's fine. But don't slam people doing a normal job. And that,
I think her only problem here is she couldn't articulate what she was trying to say. And I'm gonna go on her defence again for you, and say that what she actually wanted to say was the government take that £9,000, and you pay £9,000 to go to college. You then pay your registration fees. It's all fees. Why should she pay these people to work for a living? And that's basically what she was trying to say.
I get that, and I respect what she's saying, but she's saying that for the reason, like, she's doing, she's justifying her career when she doesn't need to sort of justify it, especially not on a financial basis. If you decide you want to get into the adult business, you get into it, but don't slam normal people doing a normal job, because that's what we'll get. There will be women that watch this and totally agree with her on her side, and there'll be women that are working. It's like basically calling some people are going to take it as if she's calling normal women that are nurses like twats basically for doing it. Basically,
I will stick up for her and say I don't think she was. I think she was calling the system, but she couldn't articulate it, and they were throwing those questions at her so much, and it was one after the other.
She was. They really triggered her with their demeanor, because I think that's the only reason why she brought something so personal up like that. They must have really triggered her on that basis.
She wanted to shock them into silence. That confession, I mean, I've heard her talk about it before anyway, but that confession of what happened to her at 4-year-olds was supposed to stop that conversation, and it didn't. And that makes them bad people.
It does.
Bad people. And then to ridicule her for taking her children in a mobile home up and down the road. And again, it was the articulation. She couldn't get it across, because what she wanted to say was, we've obviously been all over the UK in a mobile home and we've enjoyed it for 6 weeks in the 6 weeks holiday. That's what we've done, right? But because she was under fire, she was being triggered, she couldn't articulate it. And then what they did was they laughed at her. Yeah. They laughed at her and wouldn't let her continue.
Do you know why do you know what they were trying to do when they were laughing at her? They were mocking her because she said that she's taking her kids away. And, you know, when you say you're taking your kids away and you're meant to be this big celebrity person, you're taking them to Dubai, you're taking them there. It's because she said that she took them all up and down the country, Cornwall. That's what they were doing. They were mocking her for that. And then when it got to that level, she was just like, nah, fudge this, I'm out of here. But what they don't realise is she could take her kids anywhere she wanted. Like, you know, she's got enough money and she's got enough residual money.
They've probably been to Maldives a few times. Yeah. They've probably been to the Bahamas hundreds of times.
Yeah, sometimes it's nice just to get behind, like, you know, some people like that. Get a nice RV, get behind the wheel and just drive up and down. But
what she was also trying to say was, if they liked the mobile life, she started to say this, and I think what she was going to say was, we're going to do it for a year. I'm going to homeschool them or something like that. There was something coming after that she said, basically, that she was going to say that if they liked the mobile life, and she just couldn't, she was triggered. They'd gone for her kids. Oh, well, blah, 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 blah. And it was the mocking between themselves. They weren't letting her get a word in edgeways. And the guy that had actually tried to stick up for her, the one that was sat next to her, even he started then. It was low, it was disgusting. And when you go for somebody's kids, she had no choice but to walk out. I will say this: if this is for clout, though, you know, I'm really disappointed in the whole bloody thing.
Yeah, unfortunately, we're in a day and age of social media, so I don't know how much of this was genuine. Because for me, although there was one or two back and forths, and there was a couple of awkward moments, and obviously the way they dealt with that, revealing when she revealed that information, the way they dealt with that, it wasn't that bad. It was just the fact that they were trying to mock her the whole way through the interview, and they were trying to make her feel bad, which they do. But for me, why are you getting these, like, your whole podcast is built on speaking, like they've had Queenie on there as well.
I know. They wouldn't have dared do it to her.
No, she would have choked one of them out.
Do you know what? I nearly said to you this morning, you're very lucky it wasn't me, because I'd have bit the faces off. You wouldn't have stopped me. I'd have literally attacked them. I'd have had to be dragged out there.
Yeah, because I think what they try to do with these guys, when the moment someone talks about OnlyFans and stuff like that, they attack the smaller creators, the ones that, because, you know, we all know, you know, it's a horrible hard grind, this business. It's not easy. And when you're starting up, unless you blow up overnight, you know, you're in for some hard damn work, and you've got to work your ass off for it. Like, you know, to get to a stage where you want to earn decent money. You know, some people blow up straight away, and they know that there's people out there in that grind, and those are the kind of people. And it can like, if you're working hard for something and it's not paying off initially, like straight away, it can put doubts in your head. It does in any nature of the business. So if you've got people trying to mock you, trying to like use your children against you and doing all that sort of stuff, there's a lot of women that will hurt. Like, you know, there's a lot of women that will hurt, because there's women out there that are on the grind.
I was so triggered by it. I was triggered on her behalf. I was triggered on my behalf. I was triggered as a mum. I was triggered as a woman. I was triggered just as a person to not stop when she dropped that bomb. When she dropped that bomb, that conversation should have stopped there and then. Are you okay? Do you need time? Rebecca, if you're watching this, come on with us. We'll talk to you. We'll talk to you as a human being, and we'll ask you reasonable questions. And we won't go easy on you, but we will not belittle you, and we will not bring your children into it.
No, I think I think it's an old. It's for me when you're interviewing women in the industry, asking them about their children is it's a very negative subject, like because you understand, the person's doing it to give their children a better life.
Exactly.
They're trying to do it to give their children a better life, and they're in a grind, they're in a hard battle, like she talks about financial freedom and stuff like that. You do have the freedom, you are running your own business and stuff, but it's hard. Anyone tells you it's hard to run your own business. Like, it's not easy, otherwise everyone would do it, so to speak. So it's just one of those ones where you don't need to ask that question unless you've got a specific line of questioning towards it that's relevant and empowers empowers the conversation. Because the moment, every creator knows, the moment people go after your kids, your back goes up. Your back's naturally going to go up, and there would have been a lot of women really upset by that.
It was also the moment as well when she was saying, I used to work in Debenhams calf, and I was working 16 hours, and I was only getting this, and then I was rushing back for the kids, and I was doing that. We've all had to do that.
Yeah.
I had a job, I was working 40 hours a week. I was bringing 2 children up. I was on my own. I wasn't on benefits. I was stretching money. I was living on 9p noodles. We've all done it. And you make that decision. Okay, you sell your soul a little bit.
Yep.
Me and you have had this conversation. I had so much back and forth. Do I do it? Do I not do it? Do I do it? Do I not do it? Oh my God, what? You sell your soul just a little bit, right? But when you do it and it starts to pay off like it has for her, and then she's given something back, how dare you? How dare you look down your nose? How dare you? I mean, I will give them this. They turned around and said, I know you're doing your charity work, which is really, really good.
Yeah, she and anyone that knows a little bit about the property game and charity stuff, she's doing it for a good reason, but she's not an angel. She is obviously those tenants are paying mortgages, and if you get it through the charity, tax-free, that's kind of what she was alluding to. And fair play, she's still doing the right thing, but she even stressed and made that clear herself. She is making money as well.
But she's helping women that can't get homes.
Of course.
That were like her, with children, 2-bed houses. And they were like, even that, they were like, you can't get a house for that much.
Yeah.
You can't get a house for that much. Yeah. There was even mocking her for that, she was telling lies. And you were like...
And do you know what's funny about this? At the start of their interview, they talk about their channel's been demonetized, so they're not actually even making money from their videos anymore. So
they will be from this, and this is another thing that I'm going to say to you, that they're going to make money off her. So what kind of people are they?
Well, I don't know. I don't know whether they're going to get the response that they think they're going to get, because even me today, I was meant to have a couple of girls on during the week. And I've had a couple of girls messaging me and say, nah, I'm not coming on because of the way Rebecca Goodwin was treated. And I was like, that wasn't me.
Doesn't matter. They're frightened to death now.
Yeah, I know.
This is a thing.
Because they're grown. Like I said, they are the women grinding that aren't quite at where Rebecca's at the minute. They are the women grinding. And
show them this. Tell them to come on. I'll come on with you. And there'll be none of it. I'm telling you. I mean, you're not like that anyway.
No, I mean...
You're not like that in the slightest. You're the sort that would go, actually, you'd probably be better doing it this way or that way, blah, blah, blah.
Of course. I do try to help. I generally... And there are people even still to this day that I do not manage. And I will say to them, like, maybe you should do this or do that rather than that sort of thing. And I come up with ideas for people, genuine ideas for people. To help
ladies, I am not saying that because he's my mate or whatever. He's just a genuine guy, and he will let you talk, and we need to do that sometimes. And also, do you know what? It's great therapy because you talk about it and you sort of justify it in your own head. I remember my first interview with you. I was sat there talking to you about why I've done it and blah, blah, blah. By the end of it, I wanted to just go, do you know what? I'm here. I'm doing it. Let's go.
Yeah.
And sometimes you really need that. Ladies, they're not all like those three. They're pricks. Sorry. I told you she's coming. Oh, there's that come again. They were absolute pricks, and I've got no other words for them.
I think it was mainly these two as well. It weren't the other one. The other one was quite quiet, to be fair, wasn't it?
Yeah, he was the one in the corner with the beard and whatever. But it just come on. They actually introduced her as whore number one.
Okay, I don't know whether she might have said that because she might like the and you know.
No, but still,
this is what gets me though. A lot of people are going to be upset if this is a publicity stunt because the negative publicity is obviously great publicity. Like, you know, we're talking about it, you know, so I do hope it's not a publicity stunt. But I mean, fair play, you know, I've come up with things all the time for people to do all the time, you know, so.
Well, listen, we're talking about it. We're going to put this out. We're going to discuss it. We're hoping that women will see this. I'm hoping Rebecca will see it and come over and talk. I want her to talk. I want her to be able to.
There'll be a good chance that she sees one or two clips.
Hopefully yeah, you know, and express
Rebecca,
herself.
if you do see it. And one thing I must say about her as well, when I met her for the first time, she was so nice and so genuine, like, you know, and she treated me very fair, like, you know, very fair. Very genuine person.
She's from my neck of the woods.
A very successful person as well, and you know sometimes people can think like, and a lot of people have said about her acting and stuff like this. She is when I met her and she was doing the Barbie shoot thing. She is under no illusion that she's gonna win Oscars. Like, you know, she was like, "Come on, ladies, this is like, you know, I don't know if she wants me to say that, but she was like, "Come on, ladies, this is just like, you know." This is, you know, you know what it is basically.
She wants to grind. She wants to make her money. She wants to make generational wealth. Which do you know what?
Yeah.
Good on you, girl. Yeah. Good on you. Right.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, if this is for clout, I'm also going to give you a pat on the back because everybody's bloody talking about it.
They are indeed.
But I can't justify bringing the kids into it.
Yeah.
I can't justify. Like I say, I'd have bit your face off.
Yeah.
She's actually from my neck of the woods. So Rebecca, if you're about, right, I'm just down the road. Come and have a chat. We'll get Brudsy here. We'll sit round. We'll just have a chat, right? You're only down the road. She's from Chesterfield. Come on.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was our take on Rebecca Goodwin's unfortunate event with the Reality Check podcast. Let's have one more look again when she storms off. I like her when she's angry.
You know what? I'm going to get off now. You are the most disrespectful I've ever met.
What? We was only joking.
No. Thank you.
I think we are looking good, girl.
Yeah, but do you know what makes me laugh? If I should forget something.
Are you being serious?
Yeah.
What did she forget? I think she dropped
probably a handbag or
I think
something.
she dropped their keys. I think she dropped their keys or something.
Yeah, but it's just the way that is one of those typical moments when you know, like when you've had a row with your boyfriend and you go, "I'm leaving," and you go, and then you go, "I've got my keys."
Yeah. That's not a good look for them. Not many people are gonna go on that podcast, especially from the industry, and you know, talk to them anymore. I don't think that's gonna be possible.
I sent this to my friend, obviously, who's working away. I sent it away, and he actually said to me, "Babe, before you actually say anything, medicate yourself because I know where you're going with this, and never, ever go on there." He says, because even I don't think I'd be able to stop you.
Guys, thank you very much for joining us. Rebecca Goodwin, we're sorry you had to go through that.
Yeah.
Reality Check podcast. I think I'm gonna have to interview you guys. Come on and speak to you guys. Tell you to calm it down a little bit.
Yeah, actually, come on and justify what you did, if you can.
We'll have to book a spot and speak to the boys and see what's going on with them. All right. Thank you very much for joining us, Kitty. Everybody else, have a lovely day.